Here's a news flash for you. Mel doesn't need my help.
I absolutely adore Doc. He's brilliant, he's clever, he cracks me up every time he speaks. He's charming, and I swear to God, if you are gonna scorn like a Scotsman.
Have you seen any of her videos? Or is this just a thing that you're trying to do this divide and conquer, that Mel needs my help because I have testicles for some reason? Hey.
Oh.
He's very sweary, I'm told. He's very sweary, I'm told. And today we have a guest with us, Bill Ludlow. Welcome to the show, Bill.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Doing awesome, doing awesome. So we're excited to have you here. I think we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Very excited to have you here, Bill. As an expert on a number of subjects, human evolution being among them.
Human evolution is definitely my favorite topic, and I always been a fan of geology and paleontology, and I've gotten really involved in some projects with that recently over the last few years here in Arizona too. So we really don't get to study human origins directly much here in Arizona. We're not going to go out and find much other than real recent, Native American type stuff. Other than the fact that I did find early mammal-like reptile tracks. So if you go that far back in human origins, it would apply. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So you found lizard men.
Sort of. Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what that means.
Theorist.
Right.
Yeah, that's what that means, woo.
Yeah, I was told the other day that human fossils are frequently found co-located with those of megalodon, but so far, no way of that.
No. There's very few instances of human fossils being found out of place, and the ones that are, it's been shown that they eroded out of layers above, or they were buried. I mean, you can have somebody 10 or 12,000 years ago bury someone in a layer that had already eroded and been exposed that was, 150 million years prior. And that doesn't mean that they were naturally, in the layer when it formed. They were it was buried in a grave, So.
Yeah. But the reason I find trilobites 300 foot up a cliff in the Alps is, of course, the Noachian flood, of course.
Right. Yeah.
So why don't you introduce yourself, Bill, for anybody who's new and don't know that much about you? Why don't you say who you are, what you know, what you love, what you do?
Okay. Well, I have the website creationsciencefiction.com. I also have my own YouTube channel just under Bill Ludlow. A lot of people found out about me on YouTube and stuff when I debated Kent Hovind back in.
Oh, he froze on us.
Shit! It's the demons! It's the demons! It's the fucking demon.
Which demon is it this time? Which demon is it
that's
chasing you?
Yeah, Bill was introducing the time where he reamed Kent Hovind with his own slide content, funnily enough.
Yeah. Bill, you might need to refresh.
You might need to refresh your browser. In the meantime, while we're waiting on Bill, he was talking about... Take your protein pill and put your helmet on.
Yeah. Shit. It's the demons, definitely. Look at that.
Yeah, the demons are after Bill. Doc, you need to stop angering all of these witches and these like warlocks that are constantly putting curses on you.
Actually, I
That-
invited Von Helton to put a curse on me earlier on today. Sorry, Bill. You were
That's
you
all
were
right.
saying, and then
Looks
you
like
were
it's
cut
working
off.
now. Yeah, but anyway, so I debated Kent Hovind, and that went well. And you know, then I didn't even for almost a couple of years, but probably about a year and a half later, I started really making my own YouTube videos. You know, within the last year, and I didn't have many followers on YouTube at all, but I just started building content, and eventually that kind of took off too. So that's been going really well. Lately, I haven't done as much. Like I said, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've just been so busy on other projects. And you know, in Arizona, we have certain times of the year, you know, where we can do certain things. No one wants to go out in the desert or where it's warm when it's 115 degrees out and study rocks or fossils. Some of the areas where we go are say 7,500 feet elevation, so that's good in the summer. But it's also, these areas tend to be like where I'm studying some of the stuff is at a public lake where it's really popular, and I don't want to be out there when there's people everywhere and they can see what I'm doing too, you know, because we're trying to kind of hush. So this time of year is just perfect. I mean, it's not too cold in the higher elevation. The deserts are cooling off a bit, especially morning and evening. So this is the time of year, the next month or two, where we really get out and do stuff. And then again in the spring. So I volunteer at I volunteer at the Arizona Museum of Natural History. I've done that for about 3.5 years now. Teach human origins down there mainly. When children come in on field trips during the week. So we concentrate our efforts between like 10 a.m. and between 1 and 2 p.m. And when I had started doing it, the program had kind of just been sitting on the shelf. No one had been doing the human origins for a while. So I got involved in that. I started doing it 1 or 2 days a week and then was asked to train some other people. So we recruited, trained. We've got some really good other volunteers now. And typically we have at least 5 days a week coverage there of it. And we're notified in advance, like during the school year, how many kids are coming on field trips and things. So if we got 300 or 400 kids coming in that day, you know, I'm going to make sure that if somebody else can't make it, I'll be there that day myself too. So I'm free during the day like that. So that's really
awesome.
Rewarding. We track like basically how many kids we talk to and stuff each day, and we fill it out. We can get reports at the end of the year. And just this year alone, I've spoken to about 3,500 students that have come through. So,
Wow.
and a lot of times they just don't hear about human evolution, even if they're taught evolution in schools. There was a recent article in Atlantic Magazine just this last week. It was by Olga Kazan is her name, September 19th, and how she was never taught human evolution in schools. And she was, you know, in biology class. Yeah, I wasn't either that I remember. In biology class, they touched on basics of evolution, but they were really never discussed human evolution. Now, I know some are, because I get some, you know, that come in and they'll say, oh, you remember kids, we talked about this. But the ages that I get mainly there at the museum are, let's say, 3rd through 6th grade, 5th, 6th grade. That are doing a lot of the field trips there. So it's a little young for them yet. But it just plants a seed, you know, and it gives them a hands-on thing. I'm all about, you know, letting them touch. We have replicas of stone tools, letting those pass those around, having them ask questions. And of course, you tailor your presentation to the level of education or the age group that you're talking to. If I get high schoolers, you know, I might talk twice as long and go into more detail on transitionals and things like that. But with the younger kids, you give them a brief overview. Yeah. And the cool thing about the Smithsonian Day is that we get some really good people that attend on that, that come to the museum that day. A lot of former teachers, even professors, things like that. It's free only if you go to their website, and it's mainly advertised through them. So it just reaches a little different level of people that we get coming in. A lot of our free days where it's just open to the public, you just get people that want to get out of the heat, and they're running through the museum, and the kids are, all looking at dinosaurs, and they don't care about anything else. And it's hectic,
Right.
But I still go do all those that I can too. So
That's awesome. I know at our local museum, when I was in graduate school, finishing my second master's, it was about 1.5 mile jog from the university. And so I would go, because I had a membership, I would go to the university like on a break or something, and go visit my favorite fossils. Because I have favorite fossils there. And so I would go through, and one day they had a bunch of preschoolers there. They probably around 4 or 5-ish, kind of, and they're walking around, and their teachers were on their phones. I'm like, okay. I'm like, hey, do you mind if I talk to your kids for a minute? And they're like, no, go ahead. I'm like, okay, I'm researching cancer down at the university, and I used to teach biology. Let me just, because I knew where all the cool fossils were. I'm like, okay, guys, let's look at, and we had a giant mosasaur on the wall. I'm like, why do you think its teeth are like that? And this kid's like, because of what it eats. I'm like, that's exactly right. Good job. And then we go through and we're pointing out different things. Like, okay, who wants to look at fossilized poo? And they're like, I do. I'm like, okay, over here. And we go look at all the coprolites. And I would be like, why do you think scientists need to look at like fossilized poo? And this kid goes, well, to understand what they used to eat. I'm like, that's great. This is like 4 or 5-year-olds just picking up early on just the basic almost common sense of stuff associated with dinosaurs and function, and it was wonderful. I love doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
One last thing before we go on. Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
No, I was going to be Satan's advocate and say, but it's all lies, because the Earth is 6,000 years old, because Bishop Ussher added things up and then got eaten by mice in his tower, because that's totally legit.
And they were planted there to fool us, right?
Yeah. It's all a plot.
Yeah, one last thing I said before we move on is the project I got going on right now is it wasn't one of my discoveries on tracks, but another amateur paleontologist, fossil collector, ran into some tracks east of Payson, Arizona, in lower strata than where I'd found mine. The ones I found were at 7,500 feet. This is at about maybe 4,500, 500 feet elevation, older, about 285 to 288 million years old. But I was involved in the excavation in May, and we pulled over 100 fossils out of this road cut. It's not on a main road, it's on a side road in the middle of nowhere. But and we did extensive 3-day excavation of it, and discovered 5 distinct different types of tracks: reptile, amphibian, other trace fossils, beetles, things like that, worms, but also found conifers and ferns and things that help identify the environment. There was every 6 to 8 inches in this one section, there were big, I got one outside, I should have grabbed it, thick, about an inch thick layer of just full of desiccation cracks, where it had dried out. This was like a swamp area. Yeah. And it was very fine silt, like, siltstone. And every so often, I don't know about every year, but every few years, it would just dry up, and it would just be these big cracks. And just so much you can learn from stuff like that about the environment, as well as, what animals were running around. But this has all been put together, and I'm doing a presentation at the Geological Society of America National Convention this Wednesday, the 25th, right here in Phoenix. So I'm real excited about that.
Go.
If you can afford $265 to get in for one day, that's the problem with these things. It's not open to the public. Now, Having said that, I will be doing some stuff at the Arizona Museum of Natural History. Of course, I had to wait till it was published there and presented to the GSA. But I'll be doing some stuff this fall in the auditorium or theater that we have at the Arizona Museum of Natural History on that same discovery. I made one video. I couldn't get into a lot of specifics just because, again, it wasn't published yet. But I did one video on it on my channel. And the weirdest thing happened. Some guy sends me this link to a young Earth creationist who I'd never really heard of before, but he's fairly local. I think he's in Phoenix here somewhere, and he makes some videos and stuff, right? He sends me this link to this video. You got to see this. Well, the guy's sitting at the very road cut where we did the expedition excavation, and sitting at the very same road cut, talking about how this is evidence for Noah's flood. And goes on and on. And it was just a short video, a few minutes. But I mean, I literally am going to do a direct response to that video because, I mean, I've been through that. I can show why it couldn't be. So that one's going to be real interesting. Again, I've started working on the video, but I couldn't do it until the presentation. So that one will be coming out in the next couple of weeks too. So,
well, that'll be cool. Do you have a comment? Oh, Doc, are you frozen? There you are.
I'm a little bit frozen, I guess. Bill, could you comment on the billions of dead things laid down in a flood all over the world and why that's absolute bogus bullshit?
Who's the song by? Buddy somebody? That's Ken Ham's friend. Yeah. Billions of rock. Billions, whatever it is. But yeah, no, it's something that little catchphrasey thing like that is something I think Ken Ham came up with to teach the children to repeat over and over and over and over, because it's all the song does is repeats it over and over and over again to where, you know, it sticks in their head so they remember that.
Yeah, that's kind of a bit of how propaganda works. Yeah, so a little bit of that.
And the human fossils are only found in the top layers because we could swim and climb trees and avoid
even the little babies. The little baby humans were better swimmers than Megalodon. Yeah.
Help me, Jesus. No, you're fucking doomed.
Here's my argument. Weren't they trying to flood to get rid of the people because the people were bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think everything else was just casualties of war. So
that's
collateral damage.
I truly love the flood as an impossible mythological event, and basically start my questioning of flood people with so everything than 6,000 years is bogus. Everything, whole thing, the whole smash. Yep, it's all made up. Go with that.
Oh goodness, are you ready to? I sent you a whole bunch of videos earlier.
Yeah.
Is there a particular one you want to check out?
I like the one with the Miss Americas. You know, that was good. Or was it Miss America? I'm not sure what it was.
I think so.
You know, the one on James' tour, I did a video with Dr. Gary Hurd on that, a response to his Origin of Life thing, but I don't pretend to know much about it, to be honest. I mean, I was interviewing Gary Hurd. I'm not a biologist. I mean, but I know he went through and showed specifically where he was wrong on certain things about building blocks and stuff like that. But it's not something I'm really prepared to discuss myself. I admit that that's not an area where is one of my strengths. So.
That's okay. So what I thought we could do before we watch the video, ask the people in the chat, and I'm going to ask you guys, should evolution be taught in schools? Doc, what do you think? Should evolution be taught in schools?
Absolutely, because it's absolutely a fact.
Okay, so you say yes, absolutely, because it's a fact. Doc's internet is acting wonky. You might need to refresh, Doc.
It was breaking up.
What about you, Bill? Should evolution be taught in schools?
Well, it's a theory. No. Yeah. had to say that. Oh, absolutely, and I think more so than it is. I mean, I think that the way what bothers me is that it seems like it's really only taught in biology class, and like we said, a lot of biology classes don't even touch on human evolution. I really think it should be taught, and I think human evolution should be taught. I mean, we honestly can't get a good idea of where we're going unless we know where we came from, and that's a part of the whole thing. So I got a lot more comments probably once we listen to some of the video, but yeah,
Sure.
but absolutely, and
Okay.
I think it should be taught in more than one grade, at more than one level. I would say that beginning maybe around 4th grade, where they start to introduce basic geology and stuff a lot of times to kids. We need to introduce basic biology at that level, and then something again in junior high and something again in high school. And maybe possibly in high school is elective courses for those that are really interested in it, that can get into it more. But it should be part of the basic required curriculum prior to that. So,
all right. Well, cool. Let's have a look at all of the Miss Americas and this controversial question that they think are a difficult question. All the different candidates for Miss America.
Oh Lord, what in the world is going on here?
now Mel's
I'm gonna
breaking
refresh.
up.
Yeah,
Am I still all right?
you're fine, Bill.
Okay.
Everything is breaking up, and I don't see this Miss America thing. Did I miss a video? Probably. What in the heck?
Maybe I can put a link in the.
Okay. I think I'm back.
Oh yeah, I can hear you, Mel.
I seem to be dead.
Miss
You're not
USA
dead.
it was.
Yes, it was the Miss USA. It's okay. It's
Where is this?
it's under Oral Audacity episode 11 riff videos. It's the
I
third
put
video.
a link in our chat.
How
If
did
you can
I
see in
miss
our
that?
chat.
No, I got it. It's just I didn't, for some reason, didn't have it in there.
That's
But
weird.
Here we go. Anyway,
Let's have a look at what all the people say in the USA that represent their state. Oh God, I hate beauty pageants so much. You guys have no idea. I hate them. They're so dumb. See the contestants and how vapid and shallow they are. They try to make it so special and sweet, but it's like and heartwarming.
Evolution. No,
Do
I
they
do not believe
still
in
needs this?
evolution. I do not think it should be taught in schools. And
Miss Alabama.
I think it's necessary that evolution is taught in schools because it is part of our history and the belief system that the West has held for a long amount of time. However, personally, I don't believe in evolution. I believe that each one of us were created for
Can you turn it up a little, Bull, please?
And that just gives my life so much more direction and meaning.
I think it's good to provide our students with both sides of the story and let them choose for themselves. I know that some people obviously believe in evolution, some believe in creation. I think that teaching both of those and letting the students decide
Which version of
whether it be on
creation
their
is the
faith or their
question?
personal beliefs, I think
Right.
that's the best choice.
I think evolution.
It's not both sides. It's like
Personally,
14.
I never was taught evolution in school. It was never a big focal point in our studies.
Shock.
But every school is different. And if
Arkansas.
that's something that they think that they need to teach their children, then that's to each his own. And so I can't argue with that.
Well, I was taught evolution in my high school growing up, and I do believe in it. I mean, I'm a huge science geek, so I like to believe in like the Big Bang Theory and the evolution of humans,
you're not.
throughout time.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that
We should definitely open up to offering different ways to teach students about everything, different thought processes, different
That's
ideas,
why you have
because
humanities.
it's important to let students just decide their own
That's why you
ways
have
and what they want to believe
religion
in.
courses.
So if it's something that they do teach, I think they should teach evolution and just other concepts as well, so that they can definitely decide what they believe in themselves.
I do think evolution should be taught in school.
I think
That's
evolution
it.
should be taught in
That's
school,
all I
but
did
in
from Miss
particular high
Connecticut.
school. It's
Hey,
a
she
growing
was one of the
process,
better
and I
ones.
think everyone needs
I know.
to, learn these experiences on their
I didn't-
own and not just based off of parents' beliefs. And if they can choose and opt to take it, then that should be an option. So I think that's definitely a great idea.
I definitely think that evolution should be taught in schools because I think it's important to see a difference in perspectives to actually be able to formulate your own opinion.
Evolution should be taught in school. It's something that, people do believe in. It is in existence, and we really don't know where the first person came from.
I kind of do, though.
That kids need to have a wide variety of things, not just be taught one or the other. I think evolution should be taught, but I also think that maybe the biblical stuff should be taught as well. I think kids need to make their own decisions. We're smarter than ever these days, so why not teach everything and let people make their own decisions?
I think evolution should be taught in schools. We have creationism and a lot of other ideas and opinions that are taught to the children.
Creation.
I think everybody should be able to have their opinion taught. However, I think it's the parents and the family who should be able to be there for the children to guide them and what their beliefs are as a family and as individuals.
Sensible.
Yeah. I believe that evolution should be mentioned in school. The thing is, it's all about what you believe in. And it shouldn't be pushed on you, but again, you should need knowledge about it, I guess. Just different options, because growing up in a family, you kind of
science is not a potato bar,
learn to
Idaho.
live off of those values and morals. And if you don't have other options to believe in, that's what you're going to go by for the rest of your life.
Potatoes, Idaho.
That's really interesting. I think evolution
Can they hear
should
us
be taught in
comment?
schools because it is.
I wish they could.
Information
Oh, they
that
can.
should be
Yeah, in the
available
side
to
chat.
students. It is a theory that
Side chat
people should know about.
I don't know. I think that's just, I think we should leave that up to the government. I'm not sure. I think a lot of people would have an issue if evolution was taught.
I'm not getting involved here.
Leave that out of it.
Leave it up to the government. They're doing a great
I
job
took
right
evolution in college, and I really enjoyed it because it helped me gain perspective. And I just believe that everyone should have equal opportunity in education. So if it is available, it could be available as an elective, I think.
I think evolution should be at
Yep.
least introduced
Reality is
or
an
exposed to
elective.
students. But I think it's up to the student to either take it in and decide if they want to apply it to their life or not.
I honestly don't think you can ever have too much knowledge on any subject. That's my personal view.
That's true,
but
Miss Kentucky.
I do
But what you
feel
say
that
later is
evolution
really
should
dumb.
be taught in school, just because
Right.
so
See,
many
she
different
killed it. She killed it
different
right then.
views on it. So many different definitions. Like, how do you
No, there's not.
teach a child the true meaning of evolution when so many different cultures have their different beliefs and scientists have their different theories? It's just not a good subject that I feel everyone will agree on in classrooms when kids come from all different backgrounds, different cultures, different beliefs. So I just personally don't think it's
I'm sorry, I believe that your dress is blue and it's not red and you're wrong.
So,
See,
it's
I
just.
can do that too.
Oh God, that's kind of a tough one.
Is it though? Is it?
It makes me wish.
That's a very difficult question. I feel that we should have evolution taught in schools, as
It's
well as a
actually
belief in faith. I just believe
misstep
that
for-
people should be able to choose what they believe in, and that is something that I was taught in elementary school, and it hasn't hurt what I believe in and stand for today.
Yeah, so I
think that everything should be taught in school. I think the great thing about America is that we're open to freedom of choice, freedom of religion, and I think if you are going to teach one aspect of how you think the world has come to be, I think you should teach all aspects. So evolution is
Not in a
definitely
science
one. It's
class.
a great theory. It's something that has really helped us evolve as people, to use the word, but I definitely think it should be.
I do.
I have to stop and comment on that last one. That's an up-and-coming politician. She did not even come close to answering the question.
No, she didn't. She sidetracked it completely.
Yep, just took off on it like a bullet.
Yeah.
I think evolution should be taught in schools. I was personally taught evolution
growing up, even in a religious school. I think it's an important aspect, and I think it's good because it broadens your horizons. I think any learning possibility is good, and I think people should learn as much as possible about different aspects of different, whether it's religion, whether it's whatever it is. I think the more learning you can get, the more educated you are, and the more educated you are, the better you come off.
I do believe
Okay,
that
I agree
evolution
with
should
that.
be taught in schools. I think it's silly to
We've
not
got
know
some
both sides,
contentious.
and
Yeah.
it would be ignorant if it's not. So yes, I do.
It would be ignorant.
Yay, Michigan. That's where I'm
I
from.
grew up Catholic, so that's a great question if evolution should be taught in schools. But I think it's important that you understand all perspectives before making up your own decision. And I did learn from my priest growing up that evolution does not go against the Catholic faith. And Pope John Paul II did accept the idea of evolution into your Catholic practice as well.
I think evolution should be taught as what it is. It's a theory, so I don't think it should be taught as fact, but I do think our children should learn.
Oh God, Mississippi. Just as an aside,
That is such a
Mississippi
tough
is
one.
number 50 out of 50.
I think that
in
if
education.
it were to be taught in schools, that would give kids a
They are
chance to
the worst
decide
in education.
what they want to believe for themselves. So that way, if
Oh
they
God.
learned about all sorts of different ideas, then they would be able to form their own opinions afterwards.
I think that it should definitely be presented as an option, and I
God.
think that both sides should be presented, and that
Do y'all want to
students
go
should be
through all
able
of
to-
these states? Is there a state that you want to look at? Because I think it's all alphabetical. We can just kind of jump ahead because it's just, this is hurting my brain.
This all, the video is 14 minutes long.
Yeah, so
I've lost the will to live.
We've probably heard enough. I don't remember specifically, who did what, but there's a lot of good examples there. So
yeah, let's talk about it. Oh my God.
That hurt.
yeah,
This is such a hard
science
question.
class. Yeah, not if you're talking about, they could have been a little more specific and said in science class or whatever. I mean, of course, that's where we're going to teach evolution. But, the thing that gets me is you've got these contestants saying we should teach both sides. Well, you can't teach creationism in science class. And then which creationism do you teach?
Exactly.
You've got old Earth, you've got young Earth, you've got other faiths besides Christians. You've got a whole lot of options out there. Do you tailor it to the local area? I mean, a lot of Native Americans here, in Arizona, do we teach what they believe in schools in their areas? And the biggest thing is why do any Christians want someone else to teach their child about their belief in Christianity? I mean, that's where it's like, if you're not a young Earth creationist, but you're a Christian or you're a theistic evolutionist, let's say, or something, why do you want someone teaching your child young Earth creationism? If you're a young Earth creationist, why do you want someone teaching someone the other thing? That's why it doesn't belong in the schools at all. It belongs in your church and your Sunday school and in your home. And you're free to teach that to your children, but you can't teach because there's too many other versions. There's too many other versions. There's not a standard, and there's no theory. There's no scientific anything about it.
Doc, I think you might need to refresh. I think you're frozen.
Is he stuck again?
Doc has left the building at this point.
Uh-oh.
Okay, okay. Hopefully he will come
I
back.
took one of my favorite courses in high school. It was my senior year of high school. I took a mythology class, and it was half the year. It wasn't a full year. It was a half-year course. We learned Greek, Roman mythology. They even touched on some other things, in China and different areas like that too. I mean, you could throw the Hebrew creation myth in there with it, but then of course you'd piss off, other Christians with that too. But that's the only place I could think that it would be right to teach something like that, because you could say I'm teaching a specific version of it, and this is what it is, and that might work. But do you guys remember? You remember Mr. Bill on the old Saturday Night Live and stuff?
Oh yeah. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh no,
Well,
Mr. Bill.
we had to do a project. We had to do a project for our mythology class where we had to do a short film, like video, and another guy and I came up with this idea, and we had video cameras. I mean, VHS. The school had just got them. I mean, this was 1979 or something, right? So, and it was a big deal. So we had to go out, and all these people were dressing up as different characters, just like that. Well, we did an animated video where we made out of clay the little figure, you know, with the Mr. Bill thing, and he was Icarus flying too close to the sun. And and then his wings melted. We were able to do it frame by frame by frame, and then oh no, as he fell, you know. Oh, it was hilarious. It was one of my favorite projects.
Well,
school, but
okay, I have a question for you. How do you feel about talking about? I have a video on radiometric dating.
Sure, yeah.
You want to give that a go? Do you feel strong on that topic?
Yeah. Again, I'm no expert on it, but I understand the different types and their limitations and why we use certain ones as opposed to other ones. Yeah.
Okay, Bull, there should be a video. Let's have a look at that one.
The Bible has God miraculously creating the world and everything in it in just 6 days about 6,000 years ago. But the theory of evolution has a much different timescale, taking millions of years to go from goo to me and you by way of the zoo. Which view is correct? Well, to be honest, both views require faith because no one was there thousands or millions of years ago to observe how it all got started.
You weren't there,
but can the idea of millions of years of evolution be scientifically validated? Can we really prove this idea of deep time using the same observational science we use for making medicine and putting people on the moon? Validation is the process of confirming what is believed to be true by what can be observed to be true. Has this ever been done for radiometric dating, the process that gives us the very idea of long ages? Actually, long ages and radiometric dating hasn't stood up to the validation test. Radiometric dating has never been validated against the absolute known ages of rocks. Let us explain. Consider Mount St. Helens. This volcano erupted in the 1980s, giving scientists the opportunity to date the rocks that were formed from the eruption. The results? 5 different ages, all between 350,000 and 2.8 million years old, for rocks that we know were less than 30 years old. This discrepancy happens all the time in radiometric dating studies. In fact,
bullshit. Oh, this one I'm real familiar with.
That hurts because they're acting like those rocks were formed when the volcano erupted. When
Magic rocks.
They're just the bits of the mountain that shot outward. So,
well,
no, they're new rocks. They're brand new.
Well, they're taking 8-year-old lava, where the test that they're using, the potassium argon or KAR method, has a half-life of over 1 billion years. Okay, and so what they're doing is they're taking that method and testing something known to be like 8 years old. Okay, you can't even, there's not enough decay to begin testing something like that unless it's at least 100,000 years old. There's not enough to measure. So if you get a measurement of 30,000 years old on something that's 8 years old, when it has a half-life of over 1 billion years, you're within the margin of error. But I mean, you still can't use that method on that. And Austin was actually told by the lab, our lab doesn't have the capability of doing what you are asking us to do. And they were told to go ahead and test it anyway. So what you got is you got a guy like Steve Austin who knows the limitations of the method. He goes into this, and I would have to say that he knows that he's going to get incorrect results. And that's why he does it, is people that aren't familiar with that are going to look at it and say, look, the dating method is flawed. When no, you cannot test something 8 years old with a method that has a 1.5 billion year half-life, because there hasn't been enough decay to measure. And whatever result you get, if it's 300,000 or 30,000, when you're talking 1.5 billion year half-life, it's within a fraction of a percent, and it's still within the margin of error. I mean, it's just stupid, and you have to think that somebody doing that is dishonest. I mean, deliberately deliberately doing it in order to cast doubt on the results, not to scientifically show anything. So,
yeah. Precisely correct. So, as someone who designs analytical methods, what humanists omit is the concept of limit of detection being different from the limit of quantification and linear scale. So things like a fossil was discovered with carbon in it. I'm like, no shit. Okay. And detectable carbon doesn't mean it's because and so but like all the arguments.
Poor Doc.
Doc, you're refresh. He has such lovely things to say, and it's just he keeps breaking up. Refresh.
I don't know what's up with that internet there.
Okay.
Oh, he's back. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, when they test, carbon test dinosaur bones, again, it's just using the wrong method. We would never test something over that we know to be over at least 65 million years old with something that has an upper limit standard counting technique method, upper limit of 55,000 years, because whatever result you get is going to be bad. And it's just what level of contamination or what level of background noise basically in the test, and getting something in results of 42,000, it means there's very, very little carbon-14 there. And we don't know that proper measures were taken to prepare these fossils. We do know in some cases, one of the fossils they tested had been in a museum and was coated with shellac. So, we know that one was not properly taken care of. But again, creationists will throw that out there and they will say, this proves that the carbon dating method is flawed. But no, it proves you use the incorrect method to date the fossil. So.
I think their goal is to spread a mistrust of the technology, of the measuring tools, and so that people will hear, well, how do you know that? Were you there? Makes more sense at that point.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this might be a good time after Doc. How do you say? He's frozen. Doc goes to say something and he freezes. Oh, you're freezing.
For the record.
For the record, you're frozen.
Long dramatic pause. Hopefully he'll come back. So yes, when Doc comes back, we have a brand new sponsor for the channel. I'm gonna give Doc a minute here, and in the meantime, I'm gonna talk.
Can you hear me?
Huh? Yeah, I can hear you. There you are.
You're frozen.
Delay. Well, carry on.
Carry on. Okay, so let's go ahead and have a word from our newest sponsor. And we'll check this out. I guess he's turning off his video off and on to see if that helps. I heard for the record too, so I think it's under we have fake commercials here, Bill.
Hello, I am the digital representation of ScientistMel. I want to take a moment to thank all of my patrons on patreon.com/ScientistMel, as well as all of you who are giving through Super Chats and my help with GoFundMe for my computer. Thank you so much, as well as PayPal and any Streamlabs donations. I really appreciate your help. So guess what, guys? We have a special word from our newest sponsor. So let's check it out. Yay! Are you tired of hearing science that contradicts your perspective? Are you worried your children might not think like you when they get an education? Fear not. Dr. I Am Bias is here to help you. I will write a textbook that aligns exclusively with your ideas regardless of any evidence. Want to ignore radiometric dating, genetics, fossils, law of superposition, embryology, biochemistry? Not a problem. We'll just call it all fiction. Really want Game of Thrones to be real? We'll make dinosaurs breathe fire with illustrations, made-up thermodynamics, and made-up cell biology that sound totally legit without citations. Check out this fire breath cell with this science-sounding organelle called fire ATP synthase. I know y'all have heard a bit about that. It sounds and looks great, doesn't it? We can just throw in whatever organelles we need or use the words in ways that they were never meant to be used because we can make pictures that look like total science. It's great. Now, I know you might worry about magical aspects of Game of Thrones stories, particularly in some of them, you know, so maybe not use all of that. So don't worry about the magic, though. We know Harry Potter has real spells that can curse people, so we'll just leave all that magic out because we're all about safety here with Dr. I Am Bias. Safety first. Stop worrying about science and that thing called evidence. Call me, Dr. I Am Bias, for your very own textbook chock full of personal validation and confirmation of your unsupported claims, all for the special price of just $19.95. Don't let cognitive dissonance get you down. Dr. I Am Bias is here to make you feel great, one lie at a time.
Yay!
All right.
Well, that was exciting. Yeah. Cool.
We're excited to have you back, Doc.
Yeah.
It's great to be back. I'm not sure where I went, you know, maybe vanished beyond the ice wall or some such nonsense, but I appear to be back.
Yay. Well, we're glad you're back. You know, it's funny because a lot of the different school districts are trying to rewrite some of the textbooks to incorporate this type of ideals. One, I think in Texas, wanted to make Moses a founding father.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that one. It's like, what the fuck? No, you can't really, no, please.
Yeah, just, it hurts. It hurts a lot watching stuff like that. Having been, I don't know if you know my background, but I used to teach public high school, you know, biology and chemistry, as well as physical science in the Bible Belt to a bunch of poor farm kids. So, you know.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, quite interesting.
Good for you.
Now in academia. So I've gone back to
What was the
academia.
most difficult thing about doing that?
Overcoming what I would call cultural bias against evolution, being that they had been told the wrong thing for a long period of time. They had also been told what to think. So the way that I went about it is I actually put the ball in their court. I was like, y'all have been told what to think your whole life. I'm never going to do that to you. I want to teach you how to think. I just want to make certain that you understand what the evidence and the words mean, and you come up with your own conclusions. And naturally, a lot of the more apt students would come to those particular general conclusions. Some of them that were particularly heavy fundamentalists, it was actually kind of a little bit sad because you could see the struggle within them because they're really smart and they're like, this makes total sense. But then they have to come to some kind of emotional understanding that somebody's lying to them. Is it the person who's not being threatening? Is it their church? Is it their parents? Who's told them these untruths about evolution?
They're not permitted to accept reality when it's presented to them and is incontrovertible. And that is a huge tragedy for anyone who experiences it.
Do you think some of these strong fundamentalist children gave the answers that they thought you wanted to hear to get through the class, but just didn't believe it themselves, or did they stick to their beliefs and not give those answers? I mean, how did that work?
I think my goal was mostly to try to get them to understand the evidence and what the words are, what the actual truth is. Whether or not they applied it to their lives is something that I felt like I couldn't be in control of. But what I knew I had to do was be absolutely not threatening to them in any kind of way when it came to their religious beliefs. Otherwise, they would shut down and never listen to me. And then I would get nowhere in general. So that tends to be my approach with people who want to learn evolution. They may be like, well, you're just full of shit or whatever. I don't believe you. But if I'm non-threatening, they might feel comfortable enough to come back and say, hey, I was kind of wrong about that. Do you have more information? And which is similarly the way that a lot of the fundamentalists do when they're trying to get you to go to their church.
I tend to jump right in and go, tell me again about the talking animals, the fucking mud man and the rib woman and the magic boat, and give me a reason to believe it isn't all bullshit. Please, just, do that.
I think Doc and I have a good cop, bad cop routine.
Yeah.
Like, here's the good cop. Listen to her. Oh, you're not going to listen to her? Here comes Doc Savage. Okay, I warned you. So I go, oh, we're going to talk to the sweet redhead again. Where'd she go? This man's yelling at me.
Fundamentalist kryptonite are foundational questions because they cannot honestly and accurately respond to any of them. Like something as basic as, do genotypes in breeding populations differ under the influence of selective pressure over time? Let's talk about cosmology.
They all become politicians. They dodge the question and say, but what is the real important issue here? And then they go and they discuss that. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. The first year that I taught, that was a bit of a gauntlet because that's when I realized just how much pushback I'd have. But see, my group was diverse. I had atheists in my class. I had religious people of all kinds, different backgrounds. So that was like a heavy learning experience because I realized there were kids that were gonna just take that and just take control of the whole class if I let them. And so I had to completely remove the giant elephant in the room. And then I went about that going, why would you want me to talk about creation when I don't have a degree in that? I was like, I have science degrees. Would you bring your car to me to fix? I would probably have a great time taking it apart. Probably no idea how to put it back together again. Going to take me a while to sort that out. But, and so if I was just very matter of fact about it and say, you guys can come up, you got brains. I want you to think and come up with your own conclusions, which is still the main goal, critical thinking. It kind of put the ball in their court to say, okay.
I love that.
And then they go with
I love that the elephant in the room is I love that the elephant in the room is reality.
Well, do you know, Bill, are you familiar with Amanda Glaze, Evo PhD on Twitter?
No, I don't
You would
believe
love
so.
her.
No.
She does. I've actually had talks with her in the past. She does evolution education research and a lot of her path. Yeah, she does evolution education research. That's her meat and potatoes. And so she works a lot in the South trying to bridge the two to show that you can be a person of faith and still accept evolution. And so she does a lot of research on how it is you can overcome that particular type of bias. And one thing that she and I kind of agreed on, having been a person who's taught fundamentalists essentially, is that there's not any aftercare per se for when you introduce this cognitive dissonance that's extremely painful for people. There's nobody there to sit there and go, hey, I know this sucks and this hurts and it feels like somebody's lied to you. But, I do genuinely care about you as a person and I want you to know that it's okay. I just want you to think about it. So I kind of didn't really say, I know it sucks that somebody's lied to you, but I made myself a very sensible person that was non-threatening to where I could sit there and I go, you know what? Hey, I'm here if you want to talk. It's all right. And she agrees that that's completely lacking, and that's why it's extremely painful because I was that little girl sitting in the front of the class, you know, it just, you know, when I learned everything about evolution, it wasn't until college. And I was religious till about 2011. So it's only been 8 years that I haven't been religious.
Wow.
So I know. So, but I came to my own conclusions, and I asked all of these questions, and I didn't stop questioning until I got the answers that I found and thoroughly answered my questions. Because I kept being told, oh, there's no real answers. There's no this. And I was the kid that they just kind of pushed aside. Oh, well, you're too stupid to science and you don't really know anything. We're just going to try to feed you this crap. And I'm like, this is not answering anything. Well, just believe it. I don't understand. So it's like, that was me. And then when I get to college, 2011. Yeah.
I got booted out of church when I was 5 for laughing at the ridiculous stories. 5. Noah's Ark. I'm like, fuck off. Get the fuck out. Get out.
We didn't attend church a lot when I was a kid. I mean, in the wintertime, never in the summer, because we had a summer home and we were up northern Michigan, you know, and so I never went to church in the summer. But in the winter times, you know, we were the holiday churchgoers and you know, or church holidays or whatever. And then sometimes during the winter, and but I do remember sitting in Sunday school, 7, 8 years old, and they're talking about Noah's Ark and just different things like that, and just sitting there not even believing it at all at the time, just thinking this is ridiculous. This is, I mean, even at that age, I just was skeptical, and I was there because my parents were in the, you know, main church, and we didn't have daycare, so it was like, you know, I mean, it was like I was in Sunday school, but I, you know, hung out with the other kids and did whatever, but it went, what they were saying to me went in one ear and out the other. So
yeah. But here's a random fact for you. I actually used to be part of the children's ministries, and I can work puppets, like actual Muppets, like Muppet shows, how Muppets. Yes, I have that random skill set. So maybe, Doc, when I come visit you and I sort out your internet, I'm gonna bring some puppets, and I'll just like we'll have like Doc.
You should do a show. You should do a show, one of your shows with puppets.
I should.
Yeah.
You know,
I can do that.
I could get a.
Do you have one of Jesus that gets tortured and nailed up to a thing? Because I kind of objected to that as a child as well. Oh yeah, the nice guy got tortured and brutalized because of stuff he didn't do. Now to feel guilty.
Oral Muppetry, right?
Oral Muppetry, we could. See, I need to get me a Doc Savage puppet for when he freezes. I can just pull it up and just. I got to practice my Scottish accent and just get all sweary.
Thanks very much. Yeah. So I've been replaced by a sock now. That's great. Nice. Thanks very much.
I can't replace you.
It would be better than me.
I can't replace you. Oh, I'm a good girl, Doc. I would never, ever replace you. Oh goodness. But it's funny, you know, it's funny. There's interesting ways that they try to bring you into the different ministries at the church, and puppetry was a thing. It actually can be quite arduous on your hands and wrists after a while. All that action that you do, you have to practice at home with your hands in a certain position. That all sounds like incredibly sorted. Now that I'm sitting here.
I'm like puppetry of the penis for Jesus. There's the show I'd be. Oh, and this is Jesus on the cross. And it's like the silhouette of someone's scrotum. That would be awesome.
That sounded incredibly
Hermit the Frog here. Hermit the Frog here. And tonight on the Muppet Show, our guest will be...
That was good.
No, you have to like hold your wrist a certain way, and then you have to like a good way to just put it on a table, you know, to where you just move your thumb, you know, because people don't talk like that. You know, they just move the bottom part. So. Yeah.
I actually use glove puppets to communicate with medical students about biochemistry. I've found it's the most effective way. And I'm a T cell, and this is the thing. You know, they get it. They get it eventually.
I use superheroes to explain, you know, like the wavelengths sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wavelengths and power. You know, the closer the superheroes are together, the more punch you get when they're moving. Further apart they are, you know.
Oh, like in Hancock and the thing. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, you know, if you get Silver Surfer and Iron Man, you get an alloy. You know, like alloys. They're allies.
That gives me an idea.
Alloys.
I could come up with a Lucy puppet for the museum and talk to the kids with that sometime.
I like that idea. Yeah. Oh yeah. Or I could appear as myself and be the Neanderthal.
Do you guys either of you know what percent Neanderthal you are?
Yeah, about 1.2% actually.
Yeah, I'm 1.3%. Yeah, so.
Which services did you guys use?
I use Nat Geo 2.0. The Nat Geo 2.0, it gives what I want. I wasn't concerned about like medical history and all things like that. It tells you your percent Neanderthal. It'll tell you some famous people you might have been related to way back when, you know, you split off with, you know, and that kind of thing. But it also traces like the migration pattern out of Africa and tells you, you know, where you were. And it's interesting because like my family, I grew up in Michigan, but we came from Canada before that, Ireland before that, and then England before that. And my mother was from the German-Polish border. And mine came back like 57% northwest European, you know, which would be Great Britain area. And then like 32% Eastern European. And then other little odds and ends, a little in the Middle East, a little in the Iberian Peninsula, a little bit in France, and a little, you know, I mean, it was just a little mixture here and there. And it was almost exactly what I would have expected. But it's kind of neat because like my mother's family, I mean, ended up going further east into like Western Asia that we show traces of genetic stuff there, and then coming back into Eastern Europe, where my father's side of the family was more north, straight up from Africa into Europe and you know, up into the Great Britain area. So and kind of trying to look at what we know about how early populations in Europe were replaced, a lot of them, with later migrations from the Middle East. A lot of people in Europe now, you know, are there. A lot of the population there came from the Middle East within the last, say, 20,000 years. You know, so
yes.
So it is interesting.
There's a popular misconception that prehistoric people were stationary as it came to their place of living. Yeah. But radiometric data of igneous rock artifacts indicates that, in fact, there were thriving trade routes from as far as the north of Scotland to almost the very bottom of Africa. During the transit times were extended, but these were things that happened. So it's little wonder that people also migrated. And Bill, I mean, my prehistory is very similar, except that my folks are back as we can go to France, Norway, and the Low Countries for about 15,000 years.
Neat. Wow, that's pretty cool. Are you guys up for a challenge?
Sure.
We have Roswell, our resident alien. He's going to give you 3 different conspiracy theories, and you have to guess if it's real or not. Is it a real conspiracy theory that people think is a thing? So,
do any of them involve pterodactyls in Texas?
I don't think so. I don't think so, but that's okay. We'll see what he has to say. You got it, Bull?
Hello, my name is Roswell. I would like to welcome Bill Ludlow to the show. Thank you so much for being here today, Bill. How are you?
I'm
Wonderful.
awesome, thank you.
And hello again, Doc Savage. Nice to see you here. So, here is your challenge. I'm going to give you a list of conspiracy theories, and you have to let me know if it's a real conspiracy theory or no. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, cool. And play along in the side chat,
Here
guys.
is your first conspiracy. The Codex Alimentarius is a plan generated to poison us all. It wants to keep us all sick and unhealthy. It's basically a compilation of safety guides and handling standards that were published by a branch of the World Health Organization. But it means for us to be sick and poison us. Is this a real conspiracy?
Yeah, it sounds crazy enough.
I have no. Yeah, it sounds crazy enough, but I've never heard of it. Oh, that's unusual. So I'm going to go with no. This is bogus. It's a bogus story.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I wonder is, it wants us to be sick. Usually they want to kill us. So what good is just being sick? But I'll go with yes.
Okay. What we got, Bull? He has a reveal.
This is a real conspiracy. Essentially, it was posted by the World Health Organization. It's called the Food Code. It contains these ideas that are agreed upon by most health professionals on how meat should be processed and the dangers of pesticides associated with that. And it also contains more specific instructions for the collection of testing samples. It is believed that some people think that this is a code to poison everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, people are dumb, but there you go.
The next challenge.
Here is your next conspiracy theory. Water fluoridation is part of this insidious communist plot to sap and impurify all particular precious bodily fluids. It's thought that this has something to do with Dr. Strangelove. But, there's so much fear and suspicion associated with water fluoridation and the effects it has on us. Is this real? A real conspiracy?
Yeah, everything.
I know that fluoridation is, there's conspiracy theories about it. I'm not really familiar with anything that's associated with Dr. Strangelove, but I'll say yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with that too. I mean, whatever bullshit these crazies come up with.
You got the reveal, Bull.
This is a real conspiracy. Since about 1940, conspiracy theorists have started to think that water fluoridation does something to our bodies and messes up our precious body fluids. It's all kind of strange, really, this idea that water fluoridation is doing some harm to us. And it's been around for some while. What do you think? Should this actually be something for everyone to worry about? No!
There you go. Thank you, Roswell, you little disembodied head freak of nature. You're adorable in a very strange way. What happened to your nose?
It's probably due to testing. You never know. All right, next challenge.
Here's your next conspiracy. DDT has been banned worldwide, primarily fronted by environmentalists. But what they don't want you to know that this banning has caused the deaths of millions of people worldwide. And it's believed that it's being covered up by these environmentalists and that these environmentalists are actually aliens. Aliens who want us to clean up our planet and prepare it for our invasion. Is this a real conspiracy?
Oh boy, I don't know about that one. DDT is the banning of DDT is harming people. I'm going to go no on this one.
And I can see bits, and I can get fragments and DDT and Malaya and maybe, but no, I'm going down the road that this is bogus bullshit.
Okay.
Bogus.
What's the reveal?
This is not a real conspiracy,
Hey,
although
I'm
there
all
is a
right.
conspiracy associated with the fact that people think the liberal media is covering up these millions of deaths of people worldwide from the DDT banning. So part of this is true, but not all of it.
All right.
Isn't it funny that they shit themselves about pesticides that are used and about ones that aren't? It's like, guys, you can't have it both ways.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I think Roswell is wrapping it up. Let's see. What's your
I want
last
to
message?
thank you for joining in the challenge, and if you played along on the side chat here, Mel will give you points if you got it right or not. So, thank you, Bill Ludlow, for playing along, and once again, it's always lovely to see you, Doc Savage. I promise I won't abduct either one of you this evening, particularly if you leave out a little bit of whiskey. No low-end whiskey. We don't do Southern Comfort here. Get me something better. Have a great day. Bye.
Drunk
Bye.
alien.
Thank you.
Bye, you strange nose not having drunk alien head.
I like Southern Comfort.
Yeah,
but
me
I didn't
too.
like the anal probe that he gave me last time. So.
Oh, you're no fun. That's how we roll here.
Yeah. And Karen, maybe Karen will be back again, Doc. I know she's texted me saying that she misses you.
Yeah, it's another disembodied head with a strange stalkery sort of crush. Thank God, what am I doing with my life, right?
I don't know. I mean, it's Karen. I don't think I think she's still out with that AI, Google AI Bob, but I think Bob's got kind of tired of her because she sent me a message crying.
Okay,
saying she
good.
wants to come back to the show and she misses you and she shouldn't run off. And
Mel, remember the good old days when we just talked about Gwyneth Paltrow shoving stuff up her who? Can we not get back to somewhere like that?
What do Mel Minions points get people?
Oh, okay. So yes, I have Minions points. And so what I'm doing is I'll get together whoever has the most points. I'm trying to get together some merch that I'll send to them.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's what Mel's Minions points are, and Streamlabs keeps up with them for me. So
okay.
I think hopefully the Streamlabs bot is working. I haven't tested it in a bit, so yeah. But
Virtual
that's what
merch.
I have to do. Well, I have
Crypto
actual
merch.
too. I have actual merch on the shop, scientismel.com/shop. You can check it out. You can wear T-shirts about Doc's elk.
My elk worship Satan. Poor G-Man. Poor G-Man.
Yeah, G-Man basically told
Everyone-
Doc that his elk worship Satan.
Everyone pray for G-Man.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, so if you haven't checked it out, I also have a section of the shop called Blocked By, which is steadily getting larger because I'm finding more people are blocking me on Twitter, and I'm like, they just can't deal with, facts and evidence. I've been blocked by PETA, David Wolf, our creepy, dirty David. You remember? Magical Dave.
Yeah.
It was creepy. If you haven't watched that episode, Bill, you should. You can just see how creepy he is. John Edward, the medium, blocked me the day I had the show about him.
Yep.
And then, gosh, Deepak hasn't blocked me yet, but I don't think he sees me as a terrible threat.
I'm not on Twitter much. Twitter is not my. Twitter just seems too dramatic. It's not my favorite social media. I don't know. And I haven't figured out Instagram yet, so I'm too old to use it. My daughter tells me anyway. So.
Yeah, I just, but that whole entire series, I make merchandise of the horrible things people say on the internet, put it on t-shirts and mugs, and then I donate the money to charity.
Oh.
There's one particular apologist who basically called me a cam girl once. So I'm like, you know what? That's fine. I'm a cam girl for science. And then I made mugs. And I'm like, yep, these are for me. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. And then, yeah, I've sold some of her Blocked By merch and donated money to Planned Parenthood in her name. That was nice. So
Very nice.
yeah.
No, but a big seller is the Dr. Savage oven mitt facepalm protection kit. Very good. And there's a mug with a giant picture of my ass on it as well. So there you go.
There isn't, but there might have to be now. So I'm just saying. There might have to be now. I'll have to put, are you going to let me take a picture of your ass and put it on a mug when I visit you in October?
Dear Christians, here it is.
Here's Doc Savage's message on a mug. And they have like the kind that color changes. So it starts out black, and then when you heat it up, it just reveals. We could do that.
Oh.
We could do that. That might be a big seller.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be suicide, actually. So let's not do that.
You are a hot mess, but so am I. I guess that's okay. All right. So moving on. Oh boy. All right. So I have let's see. We do have a few other things we could talk about. There's a short video on if we should take Genesis as literal. You guys want to watch that and see?
Sure.
It's not very long. We'll have a go with that. I believe that's the 6th video in the row in the folder bowl.
Mm-hmm.
2 dudes sitting in chairs saying stuff.
Oh, it's all true because it says it in the book.
I think we run into very serious problems of interpretation.
Are they in a junkyard?
Into the rest of the biblical narrative when we say that it's a narrative and it's not literal creation story. I think we should take Jesus' view of the Old Testament.
I wonder if this is a revival.
We should have his same view in terms of the history of the Old Testament, what he believed about the Word of God. And when you see Jesus speaking about creation, it's in terms of literal creation. In Matthew chapter 19, when Jesus gives the distinctions between male and female that come together, become one, he's speaking about the creation account, and that's a literal account for him. If we say that the creation narrative in Genesis 1 and 2 is poetic and it's not truly literal, then is that true also for Genesis 3? Is it true about the fall? Is it true about our first parents? And if so, if we say, well, that's also up for grabs, maybe it's not a literal Adam and Eve, well, then we now lost Romans 5. Romans 5, there is a representative Adam and a representative Jesus. So you see, it's absolutely true. If you destroy Genesis, you've destroyed the entire narrative of the Scriptures, and therefore you've destroyed the story of redemption. And so just a quick resource, apologiaradio.com, about 4 weeks ago, we had Dr. Kenneth Gentry on talking about his book, As It Is Written. It used to be called Hath God Said. As It Is Written is Genesis literal or literary? He spent about 2 hours with us on this specific subject. And so I would point you to Dr. Gentry.
Wow. 2 hours of that.
Yeah, it's all bollocks. Yeah, sorry. Your whole story is a mythology, just as valid as all the others aren't. Get over it. Sorry that reality doesn't agree with your made-up preference.
Oh gosh. Bring us back, Bull, so we can talk.
Yeah. Are we? It's interesting because I told you guys we had that Smithsonian Day at the museum yesterday, and I rarely get people ask really specific questions about religion, but I had 2 people come and wait till, you kind of work as you get a group of people wanders in and you start your presentation, and then, some people join halfway through and you might go back over some things with them. Other times, it kind of clears out, but, and both of these people waited till it kind of cleared out and then came up to me, and I could tell they were waiting to talk to me. And both women, and both, I mean, not young, but 40s, 50s, and said, how do you reconcile this with the Bible? One that was basically her words. And I said, well, I can't. I said, I don't believe in the Bible. I mean, I'm not a theist, I'm not religious. I said, but, some people do. I mean, Catholics do, different types, different religions do, or different types of Christians, I should say, do. But if you want to take the Bible is literal, Genesis is literal, including the genealogies, and you want to say that the earth is 6,000 years old, you cannot reconcile the information I'm giving you here with that.
Right.
You can't. You can't reconcile the creation account. You can't reconcile Adam and Eve, any of that. I said, but, so you can either ignore this, or you can and go on believing that, or you can kind of make that theistic evolution type thing out of it, but you can't do both. I mean, the other woman asked me, and I wish I remembered, she asked me several specific questions. And again, that's just kind of unusual, but it was really interesting to have two in one day like that, because I typically have more people ask me, what happens when a creationist comes up here, and do they argue with you and things like that? I have people more ask me about that more than I have the creationists actually coming up and arguing with me and doing it. So that's what's funny. Yeah. So, but we don't argue at the museum. We never do. We never argue. You never argue. You never push your point. I mean, it's pointless, and that's not what they've been there for. And if people want to argue, you just back off. You say, hey, we present the scientific research and the facts as we understand them, and it's open to your interpretation. Have a nice day at the Natural History Museum. So
exactly.
That's about all you can do. Mm-hmm.
It's pretty interesting. At our museum here, we actually have a disclaimer that says this is, what the general consensus is for the human evolution exhibit. We haven't had it very long. We've probably had this exhibit for maybe 5-6 years. So it's still relatively new out here. And so they do have a disclaimer saying, because they were getting hate letters, this is what the scientific consensus is, and this is what we are presenting. If you don't want to look at it.
What state are you in?
I don't say that out here. I can message you privately if you want, and we can talk about it. Because I have weirdos. It's like cooties, except with weirdos.
I love that we have disclaimers like reality might piss you off. Strap in. Oh shit, they've been lying to us for years. Oh my god. I've been exploited by men in dresses. Oh shit.
Oh gosh. Yeah. It's funny how that works. But yeah, if you want to talk about, I'll message you later on, and I'll give you the rundown on that.
I didn't know you were that protective about it, but I understand why you might be. I mean, up until maybe 6 years ago, when Facebook started cracking down on fake accounts, I did not discuss any of these topics on Facebook under my real name. I mean, for those reasons, because people might come after you, and my name's, I'm self-employed, and it's associated with my business and everything else too. Right. So and it turned out that eventually somebody did come after my business because of this. So it was a good thing that I did that.
Didn't you have quite substantial issues in that area, Bill?
Yeah, I still am. And the guy hasn't stopped. He's toned down a bit, but he spent literally thousands of dollars trying to come after my business by registering my name as a trade name and things like that. And none of what he's done has worked. None of it's worked at all. Right now, he's just wasted money and thousands of hours and thousands of dollars making videos about me and everything else.
What is the guy's beef? Because it has to be a kind of deep-seated thing.
he's a young Earth creationist that I ran into at a Facebook group, maybe 6 years ago, 5 years ago. And then once I debated Kent Hovind, and he had said Hovind is one of the people that turned him into a real Christian, and right after that debate, people had sent me where he was in one of these kind of cliquish groups they have. They were literally plotting to come after me, plotting. I mean, going to go after my business. He's purchasing because my business name is just registered in the state of Arizona, not nationally, but I only do business in the state of Arizona. And I never needed to do anything like that. It's a very specific business, but, literally took my logo and image that I bought from an artist, 12 years ago and tried to register it as a federal, trade name and trademark. And, he lost. I mean, it cost me a little bit of money to fight that, but he's still coming after it. And he's still doing stuff like that and making fake accounts that imitate my business, and it's just bizarre. Yeah,
This
sicko.
Because bearing false witness isn't an issue with Christianity anymore. And it's fascinating how sneaky the most devout can really be when poked a little bit.
Have you heard of there was a bet, and I actually talked about this. I did an episode on flat earthers once about psychologically what could be the thing going on there. There was there was a bet that was done, the Bedford level experiment, but by Wallace. And he had a bet with another guy, and the guy had put this ad in the paper for, it was like 500 gold British pounds or something like that in the 1800s at the time. And Wallace was one of the founders of biology, modern biology. And so what he did was he's like, okay, I'm going to do the Bedford level experiment with this guy. They go out there, and they have two separate referees that go and look, and they replicated the experiment. They wrote down the data. They sent in both referees for each person checked the data to make certain it was accurate what they were writing down. They sent it off to I forget the name of the journal, and then the journal went through the data and declared the winner as Wallace. For about 15 years after that, the guy who lost the bet harassed Wallace, sent death threats to his wife, kept him in court forever. It took a restraining order. It was insane.
Yeah. The earth isn't flat, by the way.
No, it's not. But this has been going on for a while. Flat Earthers been around for a long time. But it just goes to show you certain levels of people who buy in to certain ideologies. They're all in, full in. They go to incredible lengths to try to ruin your life based on a thing.
I tend to put it out there because I don't really give a shit and say you can discover everything about my life in about 3 clicks if your IQ is above 80, and they can't do it. I'll track you down. Well, it's not hard, you ass. Just clickety click click. But no.
Oh my goodness.
Talking to
Doc,
you,
I'm
Vaughn
glad
Hill.
you're my friend. God.
Yeah. Track me down, Vaughn. Come on.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't care for people to track me down. I've had quite enough of that. I've had my share of weirdos. It's like, I wish I could get, Doc, please get a vaccination for weirdos. That would be great. Can you make one, please?
Yeah. I've got a vaccine for chemtrails. I can fax it to you. And I can also send you scans of flavored windows that are excellent if your IQ is below 80.
Oh, God. Okay. Are you guys ready for stupid things on the internet?
Hey. Yeah.
Isn't that what we've been talking about?
Yes, but we have a whole separate section.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we have the Oral audacity. Bull, do you have the audacity? We have the audacity.
My name is G-Man. You got the audacity. You're going to jail. You got the audacity. My name is G-Man. You got the audacity. That's all I got to say. You got the audacity. I sold $3,000. You got the audacity. Audacity. You got the audacity. Audacity. Because you don't got no evidence. My name is G-Man. G-Man. My name is G-Man.
All right.
Did G-Man make that, or did somebody spoof him make that? Okay.
No, G-Man never didn't. No, he didn't do that.
Okay.
No, that was courtesy of Hannibal and Monty from the Shit Show. They have the entire song off of their website. Monty's a good friend of mine, about 10 years now. Originally
Friend of
made
the show.
a lot of my logos. Yes. Adore Monty. He made a 30-second clip for me for our segment, Stupid Things People Say. We have the audacity.
We love you, Monty.
They need to be back on the show again. They're funny.
Yeah, come on the show. Yeah, let's have a moment of silence for G-Man's reason, because it kind of is departed. It is gone. But we're not talking about G-Nozzle tonight. I'm sure we have some more interesting douchebaggery to comment on.
We do. The first one I want to talk about, I found this on my exploits of looking for stupid things. Did you know that Ken Ham is going to have an expo in 2019 called Creation College Expo? There's a PDF file.
Awesome. I'm going. I'm going.
It's November 1st and 2nd. Here you go. From 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., you too can go to the Ark Encounter and learn about evolution. So that's November 1st and 2nd, 2019. Answers at the Ark Encounter. Speakers, Ken Ham, Dr. Georgia Purdom. I'm certain she will write a textbook for you full of confirmation bias.
Right.
You know, whatever. Bodie
Dr.
Hodge
Georgia, Dr. Georgia, I am a freaking charlatan, transparently. Purdom, that lady?
Yeah, that lady who refused to take genetics or evolution, or would not take evolution in grad school. Let's pull up the AIG 2019 College Expo, what they have to say about that. That's not it.
College.
It's aig.png, bull.
Is this for colleges like Liberty University and things like that to present to people that are looking for
well, bull,
colleges that teach
image.
or
I'm getting to
no,
it.
I know, but
I'm getting to it.
Okay. Yeah, it's aig.png is the image, but it's in Williamstown, Kentucky, and essentially it's from the Answer Center, and it's at the Ark Encounter. And what they had to say is, it says, join us in many of the nation's leading Christian colleges and universities at the Ark Encounter in Williamstown, Kentucky for College Expo 2019. Here is their target audience. This exciting event allows you and your students in grades 7 through 12 to visit one-on-one with representatives from Christian institutions across the country who hold to biblical authority in young earth creation. The College Expo 2019 is a free event that runs from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. both days. All registered students receive a free College Expo t-shirt. One more, go back one more. There you go. Okay, you get a free t-shirt, complimentary admission to the Ark Encounter, and an opportunity to win $500. There you go.
Cool. Yeah, it's like you can meet a whole array of fucking charlatans. Awesome. Everyone should go. Everyone should go to this. Sounds awesome.
Yep. Now they have.
You got to give it to him though. I was saying he sure runs it like a business though, doesn't he? I mean, he covers every aspect. You know, I mean, it's not just like some like a Kent Hovind who's got Dinosaur Adventureland. They come in on the same spiel, and they really got nothing going on. I mean, Ken Ham runs it like a business. His organization does, and they cover like college expos. Don't they have their own school locally now too? I think that they have.
I think so.
That they spot. Yeah, right. I mean, and he's in every single aspect of it, from publishing the literature to the videos to marketing is. There's just an awful lot behind it. It's being run like a well-run business, and unfortunately, it's not doing as bad as some people claim. It didn't do as well initially as they had projected, that's for sure. But numbers are up this year substantially over last year too. So, I mean, he's doing better than we want him to. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, a list of the expo sponsors would be, and I think that's another AIG picture. There we go. It's Patrick Henry College, Cornerstone Bible Institute, Bob Jones University, Montana Bible College, Clear Creek Baptist Bible College, Arrowhead Bible College, Maranatha Baptist University, Appalachian Bible College, Welch College, Kentucky Mountain Bible College, Pensacola Christian College.
Wait. Yeah. Kentucky Mountain Bible College has an elective course in snake handling, and that is not made up.
You're kidding.
No, that's the thing. Snake handling.
There's Bryan College, Northeastern Baptist College, Veritas Baptist College, Southland Bible Institute, Grace College, Faith Baptist Bible College, God's Bible College. Where the heck is that?
Heaven.
Where's God's Bible College? I don't know where that is. Is that in heaven?
It's behind the curtain. That's in the Holy of Holies, presumably.
Well, somebody tie a rope around my waist. I want to go see what's in there.
Go to the light, Carrie Ann. Jesus, it's the 21st century, for Christ's sake.
Oh, God. Emmaus, I guess Emmaus or whatever Bible College, Heartland Christian College, and Jackson Hole Bible College. That sounds vastly inappropriate.
Jackson's Hole.
But you two can go there. We also have a video about dinosaurs. We're dinosaurs on the ark with Brian Osborne.
Of all creatures with the breath of life in them came to Noah and entered the ark. That would actually include dinosaurs. And some say, wait a minute, dinosaurs on the ark? How could Noah fit them on the ark? Matter of fact, how could Noah fit all of those animals on the ark? So let me answer the bigger question. We'll talk about dinosaurs in the midst of that answer. When someone asks you that question, there are two main questions we should push back with. The first question should be this. When someone asks you how to get the animals onto the ark, we should say, first, well, how big was the ark? Second question, how many animals did Noah actually take on the ark? Answer those two questions, and this answer really isn't that hard. So first, how big was the ark? Do you think it looked more like A or B?
Who gives a shit?
Thank you for saying B. All right.
Okay.
Why do so many arks look like this
Neither.
in our children's books, Sunday school curriculums, Bible studies, and so forth? They present Noah's ark as an overloaded bathtub. Giraffes always sticking out the top, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And I know these pictures are meant to be cute for kids, but kids are so impressionable. You show a kid
carbon monoxide,
does that tell that
methane
kid
poisoning,
flood, real event or fairy tale?
Fairy tale.
Fairy tale. And we're actually reinforcing a secular idea when we do this.
Look at the audience scintillating.
It was over 500 feet long and 85 feet wide and 50 feet tall with 3 levels.
It's big.
Ship,
Everyone would suffocate within.
To mostly a modern day cargo ship.
Everyone would suffocate within about 25 minutes.
You would need during a global flood. Capacity equal to roughly 500 railroad stock cars, like an 8-mile long train. Huge ship. But was it big enough? How many animals did he take?
Oh, God.
Well, the Bible's clear. He took only land-dwelling, air-breathing animals.
If you come to the States, we're going to have to go to the ark.
Fish on the ark.
You know that, right?
Plenty of water outside the boat.
We're going to have to sit in one of these tall
whales on the ark.
Jellyfish on the ark.
Wait, plenty of water outside of the boat, except all of the fish would die.
Here in a minute. And then the most important issue of all
was sterilized.
Is the Bible's clear. Noah took 2 of each kind onto the ark. not two of each species, two of each kind. And the word kind, for the most part, in the
Hey, that's
Bible,
where
is
Kent
equal to
Hovind
about
gets
the
his kind,
family
right?
level of modern day classification. So what that simply means is this. Noah
We're making
did
it up.
not take 400 pairs of dogs with him on the ark. He most likely never saw a chihuahua or a poodle in his life. He was a blessed man.
Oh my
Yep. Noah was
God.
blessed,
He
lived
took
600
two of the
years,
dog kind,
built
two
an
of the elephant
impossibly
kind,
large boat.
too many of the cat kind, but two of the basic kinds of animals on the ark. Snuck that in there.
At least he's dressed a bit more better, a bit more
Someone said,
better.
but
I
hey,
can't speak.
aren't there
This
just too
is
many
making me
variations of
dumb.
dinosaurs? Aren't there
At
hundreds, even
least he's dressed
thousands of
better than
variations of
Ken.
dinosaurs?
Ken
Well,
didn't
just like there
have
are
an
many variations
appropriate
of
suit.
the dog kind,
That was
but just
too,
the basic kind. The
too
same thing with
big.
cats
You
and
think he
horses and
knows
so
he's
forth. We have
just
a similar
lying
group
to
of
everybody?
dinosaurs.
Or
There are many
is he
variations of the
convinced of this?
ceratopsia kind, but
I
just the
think
basic
I think
kind.
Ken Ham
There are
is
many
right in his
variations of the
paychecks, and he doesn't
sauropod
care.
kind, but just the basic kind. There are around
So
60
they
to at
crammed
most
dinosaurs
80
on there,
dinosaur
along
kinds.
with dogs
Not
that
that
were
many.
not poodles or
And
chihuahuas.
some would say, okay, not that many, but I mean,
Look,
come on.
he's got dinosaur
Really?
kinds that didn't live within 50 million years of each other.
That leads
That's
to a very
cool.
common
Yeah,
misconception.
that's nice.
Do you realize that the average size of a
If
dinosaur is equal to
family
that of
level
a
is where
bison,
they decide
like a really
kind, then
big cow? And actually, some were as small as chickens.
orangutans, gorillas, and
It's
chimps
true. If those were
all
still around
evolved
today,
from Adam and
we
Eve.
could have some good old
Yep.
KFC.
Yeah.
They all evolved from the same people that got off the ark. Or
Oh
so.
God.
And of course, it will
They
take
think
what?
that birds were gonna be the same size as dinosaurs like forever. Is that? Oh God. Ah.
This is what happens when you don't have foundational knowledge and you throw out everything you're incredulous of. It makes you look like an asshole every time.
They sure have it well rehearsed, though. But yeah, it doesn't figure out. I mean, I wonder how many kinds of birds they actually are up to now. Last time I knew, AIG was up to, I think, 23 different kinds of birds. Because they just classify them by traits or whatever, not by actual phylogeny. And when they run into a block, they just create a new kind. But if they did that with every animal on Earth, there would be too many thousands of kinds to ever fit on the ark. But you can never nail them down. They never, they never go that far. They'll never tell you exactly how many. They'll just be vague like they are there and say, oh, there's plenty of room, so.
And they failed the circularity of the argument by saying fewer species than kinds. Okay, we've got a few kinds and they turned into all the species. Well, okay, how did that happen then? Like by a process of diversification and natural selection. That's about 11,000 species a day since 4,800 years ago, jackasses.
Right. And
where's the super hyper evolution?
With cats, we have paintings, drawings of lions and house cats going back thousands of years. I mean, to almost the very time that they say that the cat kind got off the ark. So how did you get that diversity from a lion to a house cat immediately? And if that things rapidly evolved that fast, how come we don't see it happening today? I mean,
we do see it happening today, Doc, in the film Prometheus.
Yep, that's right. That was a documentary.
At the very end, I was just like, that's not how it works. And, yeah.
But the creationist position on the impossible flood and the impossible repopulation, I mean, it's so fractally flawed that it's almost an embarrassment when people say, this is absolutely true, perfectly legit. It's like, really? No, it doesn't scan at any level. Not only did it not happen, it could not have happened, and evidently didn't happen. So, sorry.
Yeah. Fun times with creationists. We have an article. I think it's the evolution.png file in the things. So recently, if you guys hadn't had this joy, Brainerd School Board Chairwoman questions teaching of evolution. The chairwoman, and this is from the Star Tribune, it's a local paper for that area. The woman's name is Sue Kern. She basically, the chairwoman of Brainerd School Board this week questioned the teaching of evolution and suggested that it's incompatible with Christian beliefs. And this is a quote, "I did have a question about evolution," Sue Kern said at a Monday board meeting after a presentation about the planned biology curriculum at Brainerd High School. She says, "You know, Darwin's theory was done in the mid-1800s and it's never been proven," Kern said. "So I'm wondering why we're still teaching it." Why are we still teaching it? Let's talk about this.
Well, you know, again, they think that theories should be proven and then they become laws. But that's, of course, we know that isn't the way science works at all. You know, theories can only be falsified. There's no proven proof of anything in science. You know, a theory may contain laws, scientific laws as part of the theory, but it never graduates and becomes a law. But it's just astounding at how many people believe that is the case. I mean,
Right.
It blows me away that I see that all the time. You know?
And to be very clear, you know, I make fun of this kind of nonsense, but even people who are otherwise quite well educated can cling to this kind of thing, which is really a wedge issue in local politics in particular.
Oh God, yes. She got some pushback from staff and faculty members, and this is what this says. They gave the presentation, responded by explaining that the theory of evolution has gotten stronger with scientific discovery. For example, the study of DNA. Kern then wondered about those whose religious beliefs don't include evolution. And she says, "And then with regard to your Christian students, then how do you do that? How do you tell them?" she said, "because they are taught not to agree with that." So, and then a science teacher, Craig Rezak, he led the presentation to the school board and answered that teaching evolution is not in conflict with Christian beliefs. So,
heresy! Heresy! It's all heresy.
But there was a lot of back and forth. And he said, "This is science, and science doesn't deal with a belief system," said Razak. "We deal with facts. It doesn't have to be a dilemma or a concern with someone to choose between evolution or Christianity," he said. "You can actually embrace both." Tim Murtha, the district's director of teaching and learning, pointed out that teaching evolution is explicitly identified in state educational standards. Kern didn't respond to requests for comment. In a statement, the Brainerd Public Schools Superintendent Lane Larson said Kern's comments reflect her personal views and do not reflect the views of the Board of Education as a whole or the Brainerd Public School District.
Good.
So their approved curriculum, the good news is the district's approved science curriculum aligns with the Minnesota state standards, Larson's statement said, adding that the Board of Education unanimously approved the science and biology curriculum at Monday's meeting. Kern was first elected to the school board in 2012 in a candidate questionnaire in 2016. As she ran for a second term, she promised to maintain family conservative values and culture. According to her LinkedIn profile, Kern is a registered nurse and works as a realty assistant. Okay. Minnesota courts have upheld the teaching of evolution. In 2001, the State Court of Appeals upheld the removal of a Faribault biology teacher, Rod Levake, who argued that teaching evolution violated his Christian beliefs. He was reassigned to teach science in the lower grade where evolution wasn't part of the curriculum. Randy Moore, a biology professor at the University of Minnesota, called evolution disputes a common theme in virtually every school district. It's been controversial throughout the country and not just in the South for 100 years, he said. Moore has done regular surveys of Minnesota teachers and consistently found that at least a third of them either downplay evolution or don't teach it at all, despite state requirements. They are afraid of it, et cetera, et cetera. So there you go.
You know, we had a situation here in Arizona within the last couple of years where our state superintendent of schools, the position they have here, was a fundamentalist Christian, and they tried to water down the education standards. And there's a way they can kind of do this through the back door where they're not actually completely changing the policies, but they're changing some of the wording of the policies or the standards. And they tried to do it. They tried to remove the word evolution from the standards and things like that, to where it could have possibly opened up the door to teaching creationism, or definitely watering down the definition of evolution and what the standard would be. And it backfired on her. And I was really proud, because I mean, we used to be really known as a super conservative state here. I'm not originally from here, but I mean, I've lived here for 25 years. But you know, and it's changing. It's changing. I mean, we elected Kristen Sinema, you know, I mean, openly, you know, bisexual senator, you know, Democrat recently. So it's changing. But you know, it's the pushback was huge. And in fact, she finished, I think, last in the Republican primary for the position over this. And but it became a debate issue in the Republican primary thing. The one candidate that came out strictly in favor of teaching evolution and says, no, absolutely, we have to, didn't finish much ahead of her, though. It was the guy that you know, hemmed and hawed and says, well, we don't really need to change what we have, but we don't need to do more either. I mean, that's the one that ended up getting elected. I shouldn't say elected. That ended up getting nominated for the Republicans. But the Democrat that won, she was super pro-education, pro, you know, funding teachers, pro teaching evolution and science in general. And it was a real good thing. And it barely won over the Republican. But for somebody like that to win in our state, it's a good sign, very good sign. And a lot of us were involved in just, you know, I mean, as far as putting the sign in my yard and rallying people in, say, atheist groups or science groups and things like that to write in comments when the issue was going down with when she was still the school superintendent, and also to get the word out on voting. So, you know, it took a lot of people, but it did happen.
Yeah,
so
man.
We replaced her. Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah, America, elect smart people. Start with people who can read. That would be good.
Oh my goodness. I think it's kind of disturbing with that particular chairperson. She was an RN, registered nurse, but it's like you encounter people in, you know, the like nursing fields or medical techs and stuff like that. They don't have as heavy of like a lot of them don't require the 4-year degree, where evolution isn't part of their curriculum. They have they touch on it a little bit in biology 1 and 2 if they're required to take a biology class, but a lot of RN programs, they don't focus so heavily on genetics and evolution. It's a very watered down situation, because a lot of what they do, they're focusing more on, you know, drugs, you know, as far as, you know, pharmacology and anatomy and physiology. They don't do a lot of like animal vertebrates and comparative, you know, anatomy. They don't do classes like that at all. So it's a completely different program. I know this because I actually went to nursing school, got into clinicals, and I'm like, screw you guys, I'm going home. I got all the way into clinicals. Like, you know, and then I got my biology degree. Technically speaking, I've been both pre-med and pre-RN. So I was like, like, nope.
So, guys, I hate to be a party pooper, because I'm really enjoying the show, especially, you know,
we got to wrap it up.
It's been fantastic having you on. But it's late where I live here in the Netherlands, so I will have to sign off. Let's talk again soon, and it's been a privilege.
Awesome.
Yeah,
and it is time to go. So last thoughts before we sign off? You got any last thoughts, Doc, since you got to sign off first?
I like this. Learn things and make good decisions. And it doesn't matter what kind of ghosts you believe in, try and root your behavior in what's actually happening.
Fair enough. Bill, last thoughts for you, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. You know, again, my website's creationsciencefiction.com. find me also on Facebook under that, or my own personal Bill Ludlow. This was fun. This was great. I'm glad I got an opportunity to do this. I've watched some of your shows, and I've been on a show before with you, Mel. I don't think I've been on a show with Doc before, but we've communicated before, so it's awesome.
Yeah, this is awesome. And so the links are in the description, so check out Bill's work. And I will see you guys next time. Signing off for Doc and Bill. Have a great night. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
I absolutely adore Doc.
Because I have testicles for some reason.